Well, good morning, everyone. Cleaning out the weight room as we're speaking, and I am putting in the chat the password from last April 21st. Yeah. Um, Meeting. So welcome. We're about there. Hope everyone is having a happy May. Uh, Little rain this morning, little sprinkles, so it's not sunny, but it should get there because it's Texas. It's supposed to be about 85 where I'm located. I'm gonna keep watching that as we go. And I think next time I will also put um, what was it? The chat, the password on the website because I don't think it's so this is so someone asked what's the password for. So Zoom has done and I guess it's part of their security measures, and I don't know why they're doing it for the video, but it's for the video. So if you want to watch the recording, it'll ask for a password. And so what I'll do with uh, last month and this one is when I post it, I will just go ahead and put the password on with it so that you can watch it and go forward from there. So that password will be posted, those two postings, once I get the recording for this one and I can upload that into the system. So that's where that will be. And let me make sure letting everyone in. Yay. So I'll keep watching participants. But we will go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. This is our second to last. So we're talking about Texas Performance Standards Project and having a virtual showcase. And I hope everyone is kind of excited about this opportunity that we have. So, we'll do our wellness check. We'll talk about TPSP fairs and some logistics and concerns. When I proposed this, and I've been thinking since that time, what I will address today will kind of be a twofold opportunity. So if you want to, are considering it at the local level, this is good guidance for you. But if you would like to participate at the state level, this is what where I am proposing with some assistance. And so, but this is our wellness check time. Anyone out there, just good words for the few, good thoughts. Want to share how's it going in your district, at your working from home? How's everyone doing? It's been good for me. I'm actually working, teleworking from Dallas. Been staying with my mom during this event, making sure she's okay. Um, and so, but it has been interesting since this point in time. We've had a non-COVID related death in the family. Her oldest brother passed earlier in this midst of this season, and then we've also had good things going on. My nephew is a free agent signing with the Tennessee Titans. So we got a new NFL player from Texas State from there. But then it's been good seeing your faces, seeing you. I've been missing my GT community because at this point we would have had I would have had at least 2 visits, if not 3, with one with leadership. And then I was going to Region 1, and then I was going to a campus, a district in Dallas. So hopefully everyone is still getting a chance to connect and at least see your coworkers and talk with them at a point in time. So go ahead, get back over here. Make sure, there we go. So today, this is what we're talking about is the our virtual TPSP fair, and then our next meeting is February, not February, Lord, I'm moving on to that season. Now, May 19th, and we're going to talk about preparing for next school year. So if you have questions, concerns, wonderings about what, or you're like, how can we easily feasible work out this process for when we do start back to school? I know that Dallas ISD yesterday announced their virtual summer school program service and what they're going to do to help students to move forward within this school year and for next school year. But I know some are still thinking, what are we going to do? How we're going to do it? And so let's throw your questions out there, and this can be our open platform for that conversation. I have not forgotten that we did, when I did small schools, we did talk about having just an open one for talking about our program manuals. So I will schedule that one sometime in the in-between and post that one for those who are interested in that. And if there's another topic that you would like to talk about before we officially end the year, but you know, this is kind of different. Don't know how this year will be working. Let me know and we can schedule that and have those conversations. Just want to remind you, because it's always updating and things are changing. This is where you, if you have questions or wonderings on COVID-19 and need some guidance, please see these pages on the TA website. Specifically, if you're looking for anything about our special POPs, you will find that under the SPED. Excuse me, SPED and Special Populations Division section. And if you have questions, because you know, every now and then I'll breeze into the GT chat under the Texas Association for Gifted and their Connect. I can't formally answer your questions there. So if you have a question, kind of, if you put it there and you're looking for general, you can answer it there. But if you're looking for more specific, kind of throw it my way also, so that I can answer COVID-19 questions on an official platform. So just that friendly reminder. And then, as you know, we're doing the public health awareness on Apart Together We Stand. So make sure if you want to add in anything to your social media and those fields, you can do that. There's Twitter feeds, there's different Facebook you can use. All right, so I always like to, when we're talking about TPSP, when we're talking about our program services, remind people what our goal is. So one, our students are to participate in services designed for them. And this is right now, I think we're probably really working in that realm of that self-directed learning, thinking, research, and communication. So, and is evidenced by their development of innovative products and performances and that reflect their individuality and creativity. So that's what we're going to look at this point in time. And it's going to be in reflection of their own students, their own age, experience, or environment. And especially if you had those high school students who needed that opportunity to have that professional quality product, but has no platform for it to be seen, this is your opportunity. So as you know from the state plan, so this is one of those opportunities when we look at, this is more of one, it's kind of is an academic recognition. It's not an award per se, but it is recognizing the work that they do. And also it's allowing for volunteer opportunities, because you'll see that we're going to be looking for panelists and other things. So it's not an official contest where we're going to have award of winners, but this is going to be a showcase where they can show their work. But then we're also asking that you, if you want to participate, because this is not a mandatory thing, that you disseminate this to your parents and community members, because they may want to be judges or panel, I would say showcase panelists, or they might be working with their children and making sure that whatever product they put out there is there. And then depending on how you've worked this out, some of you have had flexible grouping, working with your students. But then we're looking at those independent investigations. And so how have they put that out? What is a part of your program design services and how they're sharing? So we're following through and moving forward. And so if you remember, well, if you were on the call last time, Lisa Taylor from Region 9 was talking about how she will be participating in a fair for a district. And so that district was Bowie ISD with Cindy Heidemann. And Cindy has agreed to talk about her process. So Cindy, I made you a co-host. I don't know if you want to share any slides or visuals, or if you just want to talk about your process. If you would unmute yourself and let me know if you need me to stop sharing if you want to share something.
I can briefly show my scrapbook. Basically, I've been doing some form of a performance standard product for over 30 years, probably. I've been in gifted ed for 30 years in Bowie, small rural town. The last 2 years, we've competed in future problem solving, community problem solving. So it's very similar to the performance standard product, but then your project, you just have, we've competed at the state level. We're actually the junior state grand champions this year. And so we're invited to participate in the international conference in the end of this month. And it's going to be interesting because it's all virtual this year, so it's all new. And this is only my second year to do this, but it's been a really worthwhile project for my kids. It's been challenging with the working from home, but I can show my scrapbook, or you want me to tell the process of the project? Or,
thank you.
I don't know if you can see. So in the project, you turn in for the competition, you turn in a 6-page paper, an addendum, a scrapbook, and a video, and you come up with an underlying problem and then try to solve that problem through the problem solving process using, you brainstorm your area of concern, you identify your challenges, you look for alternative solutions, like we did a survey, what do we need? And how can we fix that? And so we came up with, we are partners in play. So that our scrapbook's rather large, but we went through the process of, like, this is your documentation of what all your kids have done. So our process was to upgrade our playground facility to relieve stress. We did research on how stress was relieved through outdoor play, and our playground was about 3,000 square feet under the recommended size because we actually moved to a high school building. So my kids came up with alternative solutions for outdoor play, which included painting sensory paths on the sidewalks. We held fundraisers to buy a Gaga ball pit and partnered with our PTO. Our PTO also partnered with us, and they paid to have a concrete slab poured for a basketball court outside. And for years, we've never been able to use the old baseball field. And we finally, after contacting and asking, we've been allowed to use the old baseball field now. So our playground is now probably tripled or quadrupled in size. And my kids designed the sensory paths, and we're in the process of painting them. We were not completely done with it when we shut down for COVID. So we held fundraisers. We've raised and I had 4th and 5th graders, by the way. This is 4th and 5th graders that did this. We had a quilt fundraiser. We raised over $1,000. We had a neon dance. We partnered with a financial firm in our town that raised over $2,000. And we sent emails, we've had private donations, and the kids did all this. The kids communicated through email, visiting businesses, and contacting, about our project to get help. So it really involved the whole community.
All right, thank you. So how was, I know you just did your final judging or looking virtually. How was that process?
We are the state, we're the state grand champions. The virtual, the international interview will be the first week of June. We'll do a practice interview, and that's when Ms. Taylor joined us with, because I needed someone else to ask the kids questions besides myself. So that was how we did that. I sent kind of a practice interview paper out through our Google Classroom on a Google slide. I reminded them of the process because they like to hear those, the terms of the language of the discipline, basically, where we're doing problem solving. So we wanted to say, well, our plan of action was important because, or the judges like to hear that. So we had to kind of work on that a little bit. And then we'll do another practice interview next week with the state advisors to help us with our international interview. And we sent in a 4-minute video. We have to, and then that was a challenge too, because the judges, we can update it before international. So I've had to ask kids to video themselves, and then we share it to the drive, and then we're going to vote on what gets added to our video according to what the judges recommended at state.
Okay. So Cindy, so in the chat, could you put in the link to this competition?
Yes.
And then and any other information that you have.
They do have a training. Sid Rogers is in charge of it. I'm going to share her contact information. They have a workshop in Austin. It may be virtual this year, she said, but it does qualify for your GT hour update. If you want to talk to her about it. She's very, very helpful. She came and talked to my kids. Like I said, I just dove in last year. I had no idea what I was doing, except that I've always done a project or a product. And it was the closest to what I've always done. And our district had kind of wanted us to do more competitions. And so this is what I ended up with.
All right, thank you. All right, so this is part of what Cindy's been working on as part of the Texas Futures Problem Solving Competition. So that is what I know a lot of you do that. Some of you do Destination of Imagination, and then some of you still do Odyssey of the Mind. So those are different competitions that are on a larger scale than us than the TPSP. So that is another option, and those are ways that you can still showcase what your students are doing. But a lot here in Texas do the Texas Performance Standards Project, and actually, yeah. And so we'll go to the next one. So as you know, part of the still looking at the state plan and looking at TPSP, so part of your long range evaluation of your services is looking at how your gifted and talented students perform. A part of your performance measures is through the Texas Performance Standards Project. So how are they doing on projects? How are they doing on different processes, different materials, doing those products, doing that, the research and those components of the TPSP. Make sure I have all my little windows open. So, but the main bulk of what TPSP is about lives in curriculum and instruction section. So we're looking for having those opportunities for our students to pursue their areas of interest through guided and independent research. And so some of you, I know it depends on your district and what you've been working on forever and a day, because I remember when I was in district, we did, for the longest, we did Odyssey of the Mind. We've done Texas Future Problem Solvers. So it just, and then we moved to, before I actually left the district, not district, but left the campus, is Destination Imagination. So it just kind of flows and ebbs, and then there's always some kind of different competitions that people are doing. So, but TPSP, we've always had this research component in our standards and what we're looking for. And I was probably one of the few teachers out there that probably know about the pilot process and looking at that, because Dallas ISD at the time was a part of the pilot. And I did try out the early stages of TPSP and working with my middle school students with that. So I have some way old 1990 projects that I did with students with this still saved on my drive. But then we look at, what are your continuum of learning experiences? What are you doing to make sure that your students, all the activities that you're doing either within your core curriculum that you're differentiating, or in that enrichment piece, or in your pull-out programs to support that advanced level product or performances. I know when I was doing it, I just could not do it all year, it was, we had sections. I sectioned it out because it was a big piece. We did pieces, we chunked it. I worked it through the year to get to us to that point where we were ready for competition, they were ready to talk about it. But it was never, I'm not doing this every day, all day long. And I know that a lot of you, it varies in the state of Texas on how you do your projects. Some of you do them on a 6 weeks basis, some do it on a semester basis, some do it on your quarter, some do it once a year, some do twice a year. So I think those are some kind of things that you need to look at. Looking at your TPSP, I know that some is more, it's really a teacher decision on which project we're working on within the classroom, or you as a grade level start thinking, I will do these 5, or we'll do these 4, and let kids choose from there, or the teachers choose from there. So those are some of the things you need to, part of that when we talk about that continuum of learning experiences, especially if you're just rolling into it and you're taking those baby steps, how are you looking at how you're phasing this into your process? And so then I hear Donna.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you sharing your screen?
It should be, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I forgot when go back, thank you. We're good? Can you see it?
Looks good.
Marvelous, thank you. Make sure I got my chat and try to follow there. All right. So there was nothing else on that one. So, and then the section 4.4, standard 4.4, excuse me, is talking about that participation and those experiences that result in the development of sophisticated products or performances. As you know, we do promote the Texas Performance Standards Project because that is something that was written into our policies, and actually in there, you'll see it in some law. But we do know that a lot of you do not do the TPSP. But remember, it is a free process. It is a free program. All right, technical glitches. So it is a free process. We have over 100, I want to say at this point, tasks that are available for your selection. These are our grade bands with the primary, the intermediate, the middle school, and the high school. Changed it from exit because you can use it at any point in time. And then also looking at, we have probably about 50 to 60 of our tasks in Spanish. So we've been working to make sure that this is various platforms that you may use. And others across the country have started using our TPSP because it's there. It has everything, and it is connected to the college and career readiness standards. So as we go into this and as we do something at the virtual level, I want you to remember, and as our students work, we always want to make sure that we, and some of you have asked, is how do we make sure we secure our student safety? So as we go into the process, we will not be asking, we'll be working kind of with a little bit of confidentiality on the point of who is looking at their projects. So, but these are some guidelines on cybersecurity, on FERPA, and virtual learning and the virtual and student privacy. And so just some resources for you to use as we go forth into this new system. And so what we're looking for with our virtual showcase, there will be a student registration process. Basically, we're looking for a 3 to 5 minute video presentation of their product. And part of that presentation, they're going to talk about their research, demonstrate their product or products, and then talk about their key findings. And we have to have their consent submitted. So there's going to be like a twofold process into this. And then we're looking at using Flipgrid as the system for submitting their videos, and then also looking and having that available to share what are the panelists that will look at these students' documents. So our panelists will be asked to look at 5 to 10, because it depends on how many, hopefully we get a lot of volunteers out there. They will have to agree to a confidentiality clause. And we will do some basic information with them and talk about, we're going to use the assessment rubric for TPSP. But as they look and review, kind of share their expertise in the feedback that they're given, and we're looking for student growth. This is about, we know our students have worked hard all year, form, but we do not want someone coming in and being totally negative. Because, these students, you'll be really, we just have to be very careful how we make sure our students are spoken to and the feedback that they're given. So there will be a phase where we will make sure that we will review the feedback that is given before it is shared with you and your students. And then as part of it, and then they'll have to submit their rubric back so that we can have that to share and to go forth from there. Okay, I am missing my chat box some kind of way. There you go. Marvelous. That was bothering me because I like to watch the chat to make sure I can chit chat. There we go. So what we'll do is kind of assign a number system or some kind of little ticket system so that that student, when they're talking about their project, they don't have to give out their name. They just talk about their project, and that's it. And actually, so make sure when you're talking and sharing that they have no identifying information on their products. I don't know if you watched some of our videos, most times people think it's not out there. You can't see it, but I have caught one of our videos that did before we revamped it, that did have some student information on it, and luckily it was able to be cleaned out. But since these will not have that opportunity to be copy edited and reviewed and cleaned up before they're distributed, so I'm asking, just make sure that it's highly understood that we're not looking for that information. And then, as I said, the assessment rubrics will be returned to you at this point. And so basically, this is our logistics for how this will work. So actually, starting tomorrow, because we'll upload everything today, possibly, and making sure so you can register for this TPSP fair. I know it's a short turnaround. It'll probably be a little bit longer because, you know, I'm not going to take it down. Friday is gone. But so it'll be up for a while, but the registration, but it will not be up too long. But then we'll contact, I'll reach out to those students to make sure they have how to submit their project and make sure that we have their parental consent. And then we're asking for the week of the 19th or the 22nd to upload their videos. We'll review videos, and then they'll go to the review panelists for the 26th to the 29th. Happy Memorial Day. And then going into, we'll come back the first week of June, returning those results to you as their sponsors, and then to the students. So that's kind of my quick and fast and furious process on this. So didn't I have a quick video? Let's see the video work. Sorry.
Monica, we can't hear the video.
Let's see. Let's try it again.
It could be because your audio is plugged in with your headphones, Monica.
Let's try. Let's try it again. That work?
Innovators and originators.
Yes, that's better.
With over Texas educators have a powerful tool to support the learning of gifted and talented students. The Texas Performance Standards Project provides a coherent package of standards, curriculum, and assessments for use in GT programs from kindergarten through high school. Students develop innovative products and performances through content-rich tasks that consider three areas of academic growth: research, product, and communication. An accompanying set of rubrics supports teachers in guiding GT students to be self-directed learners and to communicate their creativity, thinking processes, and individuality. The TPSP assessment rubrics build on age-appropriate language and expectations to capture the critical attributes of learning that students should achieve by the end of their K-12 education experience. These rubrics focus on academic growth while affording students opportunities to develop high-quality work, culminating in a product or performance at a professional level by the end of high school. As they progress across grade levels and experience, students move from novice to expert and on to innovators and originators. With over a decade of implementation and state education goals clearly in mind, the Texas Performance Standards Project provides an enhanced academic opportunity for not only gifted and talented students, but for all of our students. Look for these valuable resources and more at texaspsp.org.
All right, sorry about that, y'all. Everything I clicked today is just like really going crazy. Keep All right, so that goes to my co-host, Donna.
Hang on. Okay, here we go. So what we've been working on as well is looking at the application process for the judges as well as the students. And hopefully those will be available to you shortly. And what I would like to do is kind of give you a little bit of background about my experiences. I've been at an ESC for quite a while, ESC 7, and was part of the pilot program with regard to scoring the TPSP projects that were submitted to the state, and have progressed through there, and I have written 4 of them as well, and very familiar with the process and in terms of depth and complexity. So you can see that those specific scoring dimensions are relative then to depth and complexity as you look at the knowledge and skills. What are the students then relating to us with regard to the concepts, the principles, but moreover, what are they trying to solve? What is the problem? What are those guiding questions that they have? And how was the research process conducted? And then the findings through that research. I think that's vital that they talk about. So it's not just necessarily giving information about something they've learned, it's giving that data relative then to the new understandings they have. What have they developed? What is that new product or the advanced level product or performance, again, relative to students of similar age, experience, and environment. And I think that is so relative to what we expect of our gifted kids. And then we want them to synthesize that information. What did they glean from, this is all in that presentation video, what did they glean from the information that they've done, and how did they synthesize, again, that information? And not only that, but as we continue to look at depth and complexity, what perspectives did they utilize? Did they come to the problem or to the activity through different modalities and different perspectives, like Cindy did with her kids? They're looking at the accessibility of all students and then expanding that into multiple areas and in terms of building that playground. So Cindy, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed hearing about that. And then with that research process, what research pedagogy were they using in order to have true research experience, and not just, you know, here's a bit of information, here's a bit of information, put it together, but were they following the steps relative to research? And that is in those assessment rubrics that talk about the research process. But the biggest key, I think, too, is that communication of the information. So the video should be where they are communicating what they've learned, how they went about that process, what did they learn, what is any future applications perhaps, or future inquiry opportunities that might have arisen through this, and then the presentation of the learning. We would certainly like to see what they've done. If possible, the product in and of itself, maybe an explanation, and we all know Earthworm Guy, which I just love. But what would be the process then that they're showing what they've learned, their product and or their performance? Perhaps they've written a song or part of a symphony, who knows, but just something to showcase what they've done, so they didn't work all year and then not get an opportunity to share what they've done. And again, Monica and I have been working on those applications to be able to get to you. So I think that you're going to so enjoy this, and looking forward to everything that the kids have been doing. Monica, would you like me to keep going?
Yes, Donna, keep going.
Well, you know, once you let me, you never know. But you know what, the state plan does reference in section 4 with curriculum instructions that districts meet the needs of G kids by that modification of the depth, complexity, and pacing of the curriculum instruction ordinarily provided to meet the needs of these kids. And so as we're researching, as we're encouraging kids through this, what elements then of depth and complexity were listed? And if you or were utilized. And if you look at the standards, or excuse me, the performance standards task, you'll notice that many of them speak specifically to looking at the research through multiple perspectives, looking at developing trends across time and across disciplines. So I hope that through the utilization of the research process. And as you know, we're working with kids at this point virtually, that we're asking them to think about all these different elements embedded within the depth and complexity pedagogy. So if it could be, what rules did you establish in your research process in order to maintain validity and reliability? With our gifted kids, even starting in kindergarten, we need to be assuring them and helping them understand the process of looking at all these things relative to then research and depth and complexity. What patterns did you see as you conducted research, Cindy, perhaps, in what types of equipment, if they did a survey, what types of equipment would other students like to see? What unanswered questions did they have through that build and what they wanted to do? So as kids are applying this through that research process and then that final product, however that may look, I think that they then build a more substantial product, more advanced level product, as they begin to pull all of this information together for that advanced level product and or performance. So depth and complexity is your friend, y'all. I'm just saying.
Could I add something real quick?
Sure.
Well, I just want to say, you know, I've done GT for many, many years, and I've almost always done the Texas Performance Standard product. And if I hadn't done that, I don't think I could have jumped right in to the community problem solving and the future problem solvers and done as well as we've done. So it's really nice to have it all right there as a teacher. And like I said, I think it's, if I hadn't done that, I don't think I could have done what I've done the last 2 years with my kids.
Wow.
And Cindy, your product is just amazing. I apologize, Monica.
No problem. No, thank you. I'm, you
And
know, it's
I'll
always
add a
good to
link.
hear.
I have a YouTube link for a short video, but I didn't realize what was going to go on today. So I can, when I find it, I can send it to you in case anybody wants to see any more about it.
Okay, marvelous. All right. All right, Donna, this is still your show.
Oh,
Co-host.
I just muted myself. And I think I had just addressed specifically about developing that research plan. As I work with teachers and with districts, I find that many times one teacher might be teaching one methodology of research, another is a different, and we're pulling in our own understandings of research, and the kids are going, which one do I need to listen to? So be sure that the kids are following that specific outline, and you can see it here, the development of the questions, the research methodologies, and TPSP has some wonderful resources within the resource tab on the website relative to research, what to look for in a TPSP or differentiated environment. And you can use those indicators and say, is this truly what I'm providing for my students, especially in this virtual reality, so to speak, that we're interacting with our students and then supporting them. And those sources of information, ask those guiding questions first. What are they trying to find out? And then the research is relative to the questions that they want to find, not vice versa. Here's my information, let me just take some things from it and build something. It's about, what do I want to know? Here's the research relative, and then pull that information and draw those conclusions as appropriate. So Monica has asked, which research methods do you use? Monica, would you like me to address what I prefer?
Well, I was just throwing it out there for the group because I don't know if everyone uses different research methods or what method they like the best. So what, Donna, which one do you use? Or is that something that we need to incorporate into our next trainings, our discussions on research methods?
And that could be that aspect too. You know, what does everybody use out there? So, and I think it's the consistency. If you have that research pedagogy or methodology that the district is ascribing to, then that should start in kinder and then flow throughout the grade band so that kids have a consistent methodology. So by the time they reach middle school and high school, they are proficient in research. Those research standards start in kinder with independent research with adult help. So, and again, it's thinking about that research pedagogy that is applicable. The one, well, I don't want to promote any of them, kind of see what everybody else is using first. But there are some wonderful models out there. But the biggest thing is the consistency. And then with that consistency, the model, be sure that as you look at it, does it have these steps, the A through F steps? Is it looking at perspective? Is it looking at the analysis of the representation of the data and the interpretation of that data, so that it's not just plagiarizing, which a lot of kids do. They just say, oh, this is what I found, and here it is. It's that synthesis and analysis of the data to come up with something new and innovative and advanced in terms of age level and experience. And again, that presentation of the data, I think that the biggest thing there is the organization of that. And many models will show you how to organize that data and that presentation modality so that you can create a representation of understanding. And I'm here on Monica's slide, she has the impact. What is the impact then? And it could be, what is the impact of your research have on society? How is this an improvement of perhaps something that's already there? Like Cindy's representation of the playground, what a wonderful experience to have that sensory opportunities in that playground for all levels of students, for all capacities, and not just playground equipment that fits just one sort of student, but we're pulling in that accessibility piece so that they're communicating those findings specifically relative to what they're doing, what they've researched, as well as implicating all of the research and findings that they had. So we're asking a lot of these kids, but I got to tell you, given an opportunity, they can. We just have to guide them. And we want all students to have that capacity, but our gifted students will show that in advanced level products. Oh, this is my favorite piece, Monica. The TPSP trainings that the ESC have ask what levels of proficiencies do you have with regard to research? Now, what about our kids? And then also your understanding with the TPSP. So many times we find that teachers know a lot about TPSP, or excuse me, know about TPSP, but in terms of implementing it with fidelity and how you can utilize the information within there in the phase 1 and phase 2 or the 70E model, there are so many different wonderful ways to apply it, but then adding your own voice as appropriate as you see specific for your kids with relative to depth and complexity. So read them through the lens of depth and complexity. Think, how can we differentiate the depth, complexity, and pacing of that curriculum for our students to begin to meet the intent of the law and what's best for our gifted students. And to be that expert in TPSP, I think we can be there in whatever methodology we use, and understanding that for our gifted kids, and it's not something extra, it's a passion. Which one of these do you want to partake in? Which one of these, or do you have a passion project that you might be interested in? But remember, not every kid has to do the same one. That's the beauty of these, that the student has choice and voice in these as well. So remember not only what levels we have as novice, apprentice, practitioner, or expert, what about our kids, or our kids novice in research? Then we need to help them out. Okay?
Right.
How you guys doing? Okay.
We're good.
Thank you, Mom.
So at this time, thank you, Donna. Donna is actually, I threw it out there, who wants to help, and Donna was Johnny on the spot and answered, say, yes, I do, because this is one of her passions. And so we have met a couple of times, and this is the fruition of our work. But I want, we got a few minutes. So if you want to share what's happening in your ISD with TPSP, or if you've done virtual fairs, or you're moving into a virtual fair, because our next step is our Q&A. If you have other questions, so anybody want to share about what they're doing, or how it's working for them, or what they want to see? And Cindy has put the link to their video out there, so it's there. So anyone?
Monica.
Holly.
Hey.
Hi, Holly.
So I was going to share, so in Irving, We have 20 elementaries, 8 middle schools, and 4 high schools that are involved in the research process. Usually we do our AP, capstone, seminar, and research kids in a separate showcase, just because what they do is a little more intensive. But what we do is we have all of our kids who are in a GT or advanced self-contained classroom. They participate in their research. We call it research for discovery, but a lot of it's TPSP, some of it's Genius Hour, kind of depending on what the teacher's working on. And then our kids present to a panel on their campus. And then the top 2 from each grade level are chosen to go to the district showcase. Well, our district showcase was supposed to be April 2nd, but we closed. So after listening to some of these great ideas, Yolanda and I are thinking about, we're meeting with our building committees on Friday to talk about, closing out the year and where we were with identification currently. And so we're talking about doing the TPSP fair, but having our kids register with consent from parents to be in a Zoom session, and then put them into groups so that they can share with other kids the project that they did in the process, and whether they have their project with them or not, or if they have time to complete a presentation on Google Slides or whatever, but that they at least have another opportunity to share with a peer group what they found out, what they discovered, the impact that it had on them, and things like that. My coworkers are really loud today.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you. Anyone else? Let's see. So once again, I just want to highlight we have our guidance out for the COVID-19, the GT. So if there's questions on there, email me or email disasterinfo@ta.texas.gov. Are there other questions out there that's not related to PSP or the virtual fair that you like? I need an answer now, Monica, or think about this before we walk away. If not, my email. Let me see if I can get the chat back. All right. So here's my email. So I want to say thank you. I hope everyone is enjoying the first week of May. As we know that, a lot of our districts have, not districts, but our cities have kind of slowly opening and reopening. And I know a lot of you were wondering about what your next steps are, what's happening for the summer, if we're going to summer school or not. TA should be coming up with some guidance. I will do some more research on that to see what is being put out by the other arms of the agency. But we will be, we're specifically right now looking at, I know from my division, on next steps and how to help our special pops prepare for next year. Either brick and mortar or face-to-face, because our numbers are with this virus is still rising, they're still increasing, and so hopefully this is not our everyday norm. But as we work through this process and we work through this, I ask that all of you take care of yourselves, stay healthy, stay calm. If you say we just need a chat moment, I'm free to do a chat moment and we can do that. But feel free, if you got questions, call me. I am pretty much calling everybody back. Just email me and just say, I need to talk, and I will call you and we can have that chit chat. So otherwise, I want to say thank you. I hope everyone has a beautiful day and a blessed week, and see you on, actually, this is the wrong date. The next date is May 19th, 2020, and we'll talk about next steps. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.